Hi, everybody. Guessing we're just about to kick off with the Instagram live chat with Karim Kabush. Okay, and here we go. Hey, everyone. Yes, you're the first. Thanks for being the first to tune in. Welcome to episode 3 of Ice Lions Chats. This is the third episode that we are having. So like in some of the posts that I mentioned before, usually on Wednesday nights, we're supposed to be having our practice sessions. But because of the COVID scenario, we realized that since the rink is closed, how about we also take some time to connect together with the fans? So our first episode, we had Benjamin, who was our co-captain last week. We also had Rio, who's a friend of the Ice Lions. And for this week, we've arranged to have a session together with Karim Kabosh, who is the president of the Algerian hockey team. So we're just waiting for him to come in. Once he connects, remember this is a Q&A session. I do have my set of questions that I do want to ask him. However, this is more of your moment as the fans. You can be able to ask any questions that you'd love. And those are the questions that we'll be posing to Karim. Meanwhile, I'll just set up a pinned comment over here. Ask any questions. You're the interviewers. I am just the moderator. Okay. So I'm seeing Hockey Algeria has connected. So I'll just log him in. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Hi Karim, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Doing pretty well. Nice hat you've got over there, and also nice jazz in the background.
That's our Corsairs jersey there. That's the same one we have in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
Nice. Yo, how old is that particular jersey, the one that you framed?
This jersey is from the African Cup back in 2016 in Morocco.
Uh-huh.
We still use these jerseys today, though. It's the same design we're still using. We've got the white jerseys we used in 2018 in the Arab Club Cup, but this is the same black one we're still using today anyway.
Man, that is a dope jersey. Like
Right?
people love the Ice Lions jersey. I love your jersey, like the particular black version. It's one
Thank
of my
you.
favorites.
Yeah, it's a bit different from most jerseys, apart from obviously the KHL All Star one. It's quite similar, but other than that, yeah, we went for quite a unique logo and a unique design. The logo is actually a pirate. It's a Barbary pirate.
Ah, who came up with the design? Like, what was the concept behind the design and also the name Corsairs?
So it's a part of Algerian history, really. We had the Ottoman Empire in Algeria. So across North Africa, we had like a pirate state, but it was operating on behalf of the state. It wasn't an illegal pirate state, and that's why they're called corsairs and not pirates, because they operate on behalf of the state. So we have some famous corsairs or pirates in Algeria. We have statues of them in the capital. So it's a part of Algerian history that we have pirates, we have corsairs. So yeah, it's very relevant to the capital city of Algeria.
Nice. So I think the next question would be, are you a pirate as well?
I am one. It's my team. I created the team. I play for the team when we have tournaments. At the moment, there's not too much activity in Algeria. Obviously, even before Corona, there wasn't too much activity. Our main activity in Algeria is really a hockey school in the city of Sétif. So the hockey school is sort of working with the Corsairs club. but it's mainly just to get kids involved in the sport. There's not too much in terms of league or games like you guys play. It's more trying to get kids involved and introduce the sport to people in Algeria who basically have never seen the sport before.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I feel I'm seeing a number of people have started joining in. I love the question that you've kicked off with so far. Before we get in a bit deeper, maybe we can start from the base question of who are you, who are the Corsairs, and what's a brief history of the Algerian hockey team?
Okay, so I'm Karim Kabush. I'm the president of Algerian hockey in general. I did create the Corsairs team because we needed more activity inside Algeria. In previous years, a lot of our activity was in France. A lot of our players are based in France naturally because France is like they colonized Algeria, so we have a lot of French Algerians. We have a lot of people born in Algeria who've moved to France through. They have their status obviously through the colonization, through their family back in the day. So a lot of it before was outside of Algeria. A lot of the activity. And we're playing as an Algerian team outside of Algeria. So we're taking part in tournaments and games in France and in the UK and in Abu Dhabi in the Gulf. But in order for us to get the government support, to get more government backing and to become sort of recognized by the government in Algeria and also to then get our status in the International Ice Hockey Federation, we had to be a bit more involved inside Algeria and start activities inside Algeria. And the first thing that the government wanted from us was to start a hockey school in the rink in Sétif. So we have one rink in Algeria. It's quite a small rink, like you guys. We have quite a small rink, and it's in a mall. And we do have other rinks that are synthetic. We have maybe 5 synthetic rinks around the country that are sort of plastic boards that sort of mimic ice. And personally, I don't really like synthetic ice too much. I don't like it, but it does do a job. It can be put anywhere. It doesn't need a sort of a building around it. It doesn't need a refrigeration system, so it's easy to put down anywhere. And of course, with the heat we get through the summer in Algeria, it is quite suitable for Algeria. I just don't personally like it. As someone who's come from learning to play on ice and have played on ice my whole life, to try the sort of synthetic ice, I don't like it myself. For kids to learn to play and learn to skate, it's okay. It's okay. So we do have maybe 5 synthetic rinks around Algeria, but we have one real ice rink. I think there's one more on the way. I'm still waiting for details on that. Hopefully it's a full-size one. So yeah, basically we started some activity in Algeria. We started a hockey school with the backing of the government, and following year we applied for IHF membership, and we got membership September 26th last year. So that's where we are right now. We were in the process of building the hockey school a bit more, and then obviously Corona came along and it stopped everything. So right now, Algerian hockey is paused, as with hockey all around the world. And we're just kind of, as it starts to ease up a little bit, we're looking at sort of the light at the end of the tunnel and where we can jump back in, bounce back with the Algerian hockey. So, and then obviously we're waiting for the Algerian government to sort of give that green light for sport to start again.
Right. It's interesting how you pointed out, like, you've got several synthetic rings around and one ring that's actually smaller than the one for Kenya. Are majority of the players within Algeria, or they're outside but they're still recognized as members of the Algerian team?
So majority of players are outside of Algeria. We have a lot in France. in most of the French-speaking places. So you'd have some in Switzerland, in Canada, in the French-speaking parts, Quebec. We got a good some young guys coming up through in Canada and Quebec. Luckily, a lot of the guys are born in Algeria and have moved there sort of at a young age. So in terms of making them eligible, it is possible. The eligibility rules for IHF for them to play for a national team are a bit tricky. So we would need them to play in Algeria a little bit. We do have some people playing in Algeria. Generally, the people who play inside Algeria are working inside the rinks. So the guys that we come across inside the rinks, they're on the ice every day. So they're skating every day.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good skaters. So the rest of the world would be kind of surprised how good skaters they are. But they do get a chance to be on ice more than, say, the people who aren't even in people who are in Europe or Canada, who maybe can get on like a couple of times a week because of ice time costs. But in Algeria, if you're working at the rink, you can be on for a few hours a day. So their skating ability is pretty good. It's just sort of their knowledge of the game isn't too good. And obviously the skills aren't too good. The finer points of the game, the skills, the basics are there, but the bits you learn playing abroad and playing for a long time from when you're a kid, they're not there yet. So it's a case of the people who live abroad, people who live in Canada and France and the European countries, to spend a bit of time back in Algeria and teach these guys who can already skate. We don't need to teach them to skate. We just need to teach them how to play hockey now. So I spend quite a lot of time. Right now I'm in London, but I spend as much time as possible in Algeria. It's easy for me to go to Algeria. It's 2.5 hours flight, and it's the flights are pretty cheap. So it's easy for me to just go for a weekend and come back. It's not a problem at all. Same with the guys in France. It's even closer than I am. It takes them maybe an hour and a half to get to Algeria, and they can even get a boat. There's a boat that goes from France to Algeria. So it's just a case of coordinating experienced guys like myself and the guys playing in the French leagues to go over and spend some time there. Hopefully a few weeks at a time, and just spend a bit of time, grow the hockey school, and then hopefully put coaches from guys who are actually based in the rinks there, and grow it that way. And obviously we've got roller hockey, ball hockey, these sort of things that we work together. Ice hockey is the main focus, but we're also members of the Ball Hockey Federation, the International Ball Hockey Federation. So we're looking at doing some ball hockey. Roller hockey is a great one, because you go to Algeria, you see tons of kids rollerblading all over the place. So together with ice hockey, there's lots of potential in Algeria. There's lots of people who want to do sort of westernized sports and sort of I mean, football is obviously number one, but there are people who are interested in getting involved in new activities.
All right. Yeah. It's good at least that the government, you guys have got the backing of the government. They've come in, they helped you guys on your journey, especially the fast tracking. Like you said, it took about, if I'm correct, about 1 year, then you got the recognition of IHF.
Yeah, this took years though. So from when I've had meetings in the sport ministry to them becoming members, it was quick. It was maybe a year. Previous to that, we've been around for over 10 years. So we've been around over 10 years, just playing as an Algerian team, just looking for players and trying to grow the sport. And we found it really difficult to even get any attention from the government to start with. We always had the sort of the feedback that it's a sport that Algerians wouldn't be interested in. there's no need for ice hockey in Algeria. It's too expensive, which in some ways is quite true. It is quite expensive,
Yeah.
especially for a country like Algeria. I mean, there is money in Algeria, but it's I mean, even in Europe, it's not the easiest sport to get involved in. So for a country in North Africa, it's difficult. So you can understand some of the points, but at the same time, as soon as they built an ice rink, there were kids skating. You can go to visit an ice rink, and you'll see little kids skating around. You see the guys working there, skating around, making videos, skating and doing all the the freestyle skating and stuff like that. So there is an interest in it. There is a desire to play it. But it's not the easiest sport to put in Algeria. But we did eventually get a bit of government support. They've been very positive in the last couple of years. They've expressed the interest in the sport developing. They've said there would be some funding, government funding. So there's potential. There's potential. It's a shame that Corona came along and kind of got in the way of the progress he was making. But I guess
Yeah.
that's the same for everyone. So we're all in the same position at the moment.
Yeah, it's like it's a challenge for everybody, but eventually we are pretty sure we'll be able to overcome it. And also rolling back onto how you're talking about with the teams. There's a question here by Shah Hasnain. He's asking about, do you have a junior team? They'd like to play with them as well one day. So Shah, he's one of our junior players. And according to the IIHF profile that I'm seeing here, you guys have 15 players, 15 junior players. But how does it work on your side?
So in terms of what the government expect from us, first and foremost, they want the hockey school. That was always going to be the start. And as soon as numbers sort of build up in the hockey school, it becomes more than just a group of kids or a group of young people learning to play hockey. It gets split into maybe 2 teams and then 3 teams, and then maybe we can show there's a demand for the sport and open a rink in another city. Or we can put teams in synthetic rinks and we can expand that way. In terms of having a junior team now, there's not enough people playing to have consistently playing to have a junior team. It's more a case of a hockey school with a group of young people learning to play together until we can split it into 2 teams and then start to look at making a sort of a junior national team and a league of an inter-house league and building it that way. But for now, it's quite early on in terms of our junior development.
How many more years would you say you're looking at before you get like a solid junior team? Potentially.
Potentially, I'd say it'd be part of, say, a 5-year plan. It'd be part of a 5-year plan. I don't think we'd get. I mean, of course, it's hard to say until the Corona stuff's gone. We can start assessing it better once Corona's gone as much as it will go. I'm not sure how much Corona will go entirely because we're not sure about the whole vaccine and how things will go in terms of that. But in terms of getting over the peak of Corona and getting relatively back to normality, then we can start assessing that. Will the government let us start sort of junior hockey? How many players will they let us have on ice at the same time? There's a lot to consider, but I'd like to think it'd be in a 5-year plan. I doubt it'd be before the next couple of years at this point, mainly because of the setback we're having at the moment. And we're basically, in terms of inside Algeria, we're almost going to have to start from scratch. Apart from a small group, we're going to have to start from scratch again in terms of marketing it and getting it out to the kids and the public again.
All right. Yeah, let's just wait and see how things will be able to die
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
Then after that, we can know next steps.
yeah.
Yeah. Noah Shillings, he's asking a question here. Where can he buy a jersey?
We have a lot of people asking for the jerseys. At the moment, we don't have any jerseys. I think all the players only have their own jerseys that they've worn in the tournaments. We haven't made any extras for sale at the moment. The extra ones we did have, we gave them away for gifts, whether it be to the other teams in the tournaments or saved them for gifts for example, officials in the government and things like that. And we would like to start making stuff. We've started a Teespring store where you can get just normal T-shirts and merchandise with like the logo, the Hockey Algeria logo. We have some T-shirts with the Corsairs logo on. So in the meantime, if anyone wants T-shirts with the logo on, they can just go to our website. So they can go to hockeyalgeria.com and that will take you onto a Teespring website where you can purchase T-shirts. But we're definitely looking at making some replica shirts or Corsairs for the Algerian team, for the national team, similar to what you guys done. And there is a lot of demand. We do get a lot of messages through our social media asking for jerseys. It's just a case of getting them produced. Definitely with the Corsairs, I think we'll stick with this design, so we'll probably produce more of these. The national team, now we've joined the IHF, I think we'll be going for a new design with the national team. So once we put together a new design for the national team, then hopefully we can get some of those produced and put onto an online store for public to buy.
Okay. So on our Instagram story, I kicked off an opportunity for people to also ask questions before the event started out. And one that really stood out to me was, how did you manage to like overcome certain challenges and barriers? Like, what was the driving force behind you forming the first ice hockey team in Algeria?
I think more than anything, it was just because of the love for the sport. Because I love the sport so much, I love the country so much as well. So together, there's this goal that I just had to make it happen. Also, with the support of the captain of the team and the coach of the team, Haroun Latim, he's a big personality and he works hard for the team as well. So with the guys around me who are also passionate for sport, passionate for Algeria, seeing little kids skating in Algeria whenever I go for my vacations in Algeria and I see kids skating, just things like that. But generally it was just a passion for sport, just a great desire to see a sport which I consider the best sport in the world. I mean, I'm a big football fan, but obviously ice hockey is number one for me. So just a passion for sport and wanting Algerians to discover the sport that I discovered as a kid. I believe it's a sport that a lot of Algerians would love once they find out about it.
Alrighty. Okay, so as we are waiting for more questions to come up, remember you can be able to post any of your questions in the comment section, and then we'll be able to ask Karim, who's the president of the Algerian ice hockey team. So next question that I have for you is, as early pioneers of hockey for this generation, for us here in Kenya, we started out a bit slow, but then over time, we've seen sponsors coming in. We've seen people also saying they want to play with us. But for you in Algeria, with the Algerian team, how do you feel like we are progressing?
From what I've seen from Kenya, you guys are doing an amazing job. I think probably in terms of the way you market your team, probably the best. You've got South Africa who are well established in hockey. They've been around for a long time. They've been in the World Championships for a long time. They've got the rinks, the league. They've got everything there. But you don't hear too much from South Africa. And the same with Morocco. Morocco have been around for a long time. They've been IHF members for a long time. And you don't hear too much from Morocco. One thing I've tried to do with Algeria that this is different from, say, South Africa and Morocco is try to be big on social media, because social media is massive these days. And to be big on social media, you're almost halfway there, halfway to sponsorship, halfway to government support. So I think we in Algeria, we were ahead of Morocco and South Africa and some of the other African nations when it comes to the public knowing about us. We had a verified Twitter account years ago, before we were even IHF members.
Yeah.
And I think that helped us a lot in terms of tournaments we were playing to get support, to find new players, to have government to finally decide to support us. And then you guys have come along, and I think you're doing even better than us now. So you've gone beyond us in terms of reaching out to the international hockey community and across social media. The stuff you've done with NHL and stuff like that. These are the things that I think any small hockey player nation would dream to have that sort of opportunity. So, I mean, a lot of us can learn lessons from the way you guys have done it. Also, I'm impressed with the hockey you have inside Kenya. I think the stuff you're doing inside of Kenya is really impressive. You got a lot of guys playing in there. I'm really impressed. And this is going back a couple of years ago from when we were organising the tournament in Morocco, and we really wanted you guys to come over and play with us in Morocco. And right now we're talking to South Africa at the moment about organising tournaments in South Africa. So it's still in the early stages, but realistically, we'd like to do in a similar way that Asia have an Asian Challenge Cup, which is an official IHF tournament. We hope to get something like that going in Africa, because of obviously we've got the three IHF members, and then we've got you guys who are trying to get membership. We've got Tunisia who are trying to get membership. We've got Egypt who are trying to get membership, and I've heard sort of rumours of other African nations doing bits here and there. So potentially we could have our own African Challenge Cup supported by IHF. That's the goals, really. That's the goals, to have an African Nations Cup. A lot of the other well-established sports in Africa do it. You've got football, you've got like field hockey and basketball and handball. Sports like this, they already have a African Nations tournament. And then you saw in the last couple of years, South America have had a hockey tournament as well. Yeah. So I think in terms of continents, we're the last continent to really have an intercontinental sort of tournament. And that's really the goal. Obviously, in terms of goals, you got development in your own country. You guys are doing it. I'm trying to do it in Algeria. We're all trying to do it. And then there's sort of the lower division of World Championship. That's a goal for all of us. But the next goal has to be a sort of an African nations tournament. If we want to attract players in Africa, it's got to be an African nations sort of tournament that will show African public that they can play hockey. There is sport, there is hockey in Africa. It can be done. So that's definitely one of my goals, and this is something as soon as as soon as Algeria became members of IHF, I sent an email straight to South Africa and said, you know what, we're growing, we've become members. You've got Kenya coming up, you've got Tunisia coming up, you've got Egypt coming up. It's time to start really talking seriously about an African Nations Cup.
Yeah.
The tournament back in 2016 Morocco was good. It was fun. It was a 3-on-3 tournament, and it was a club tournament. So it was a tournament that you'd see, like, for example, Corsairs in, and for example, it'd be your club team. It wouldn't be a national team, but really, as I'd like to do that again. Actually, I'd like to do a club competition.
We are waiting for it.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
So we'd love to do another club competition with our Corsairs team, but also a national team competition. So these are two big goals for us. You guys are coming up fast, and I'm just hoping you guys get IHF membership like ASAP. As soon as you can get it, it just is a boost for all the African nations. So, and Egypt and Tunisia, they'll all tell you the same thing. You know, I'm in regular contact with these guys, and we're all behind you. We're all behind. We're all watching Kenyan hockey and keeping an eye on things. We all watch each other, and we're all impressed. And we're all hoping for you to come up fast, as well as hoping Egypt to come up, and hoping Tunisia to come up. And it would just be good for all of us if we all come up together.
Yeah, like I really appreciate the love that you've shared, especially about the Kenyan team. Even before the Kenyan team, I believe like we were majorly on the map. We could see how active Hockey Algeria was on social media. And right now, our name might still be there, but you guys achieved what we are struggling to achieve right now, which is IIHF membership status. But hopefully, what we're really praying is that invite from the 2016 African Cup, it comes back again, and we can be able to play together. Last year was playing. I had a chance to play together with the Egyptians. I traveled to Egypt for work. And truth be told, I didn't know how good these guys were. But when I got on the ice and we were playing 3-on-3, these guys are intense. They really play hard. They go hard. They go to a smaller rink than us, but guys go hard, even though they don't have the membership. And I believe African players, we can be able to go hard as well when we're given the chance.
I mean, I think they're facing the same issues in terms of the government are sort of like thumbs up, you're doing a good thing, and then it doesn't really get past that. It's sort of carry on doing what you're doing. It's good. And then the official stamp isn't there yet. And the official stamp is what you need to then become an IHF member. And it's the same problem we had for years and years. Once they started accepting us, it was like, okay, thumbs up, we support you, you're doing good things. But there was never that sort of official recognition until 2 years ago when they basically, it all changed. I was invited into the office to meet the director of sport for the whole of Algeria, the head of communications for all of sport in Algeria was there, and it was basically, okay, you're the national team for Algeria. It was finally sort of accepted. You're the national team. Build a hockey school, and then suddenly it all just grew from there. A year later, IHF membership. So it's just that final bit is tough, where you just need to get that sort of that official stamp from the government, and Egypt and Tunisia are having that exact problem right now. They're very close to it, and I think it's very similar to you guys. They're doing stuff inside their country, they're doing stuff outside their country, and they're very close, but they're just not there yet. And we're hoping within the next year or so, all of you guys can get that membership, and we can start bringing some sort of African committee together to really focus on hockey inside Africa.
All right. So just making a segue on your responses there. We've got a question from Yasser Alab. I'm going to merge it together with Coach WRC. He's he's a coach from Canada. So Yasser is saying, does it really exist, Hockey Algeria, or are you working on making it exist? And together with that, coach is asking, what initiatives are you doing with the youth?
Hockey does exist in Algeria. It's as I said, it's pretty small at the moment. I'd say probably 2019 was when we first started the hockey school. So if you imagine, it's only been a year that we've started working on the hockey school, and we've started bringing equipment in, and we're hoping to get more equipment in. But and there's been hockey without me. I mean, I've seen photos of kids in synthetic rinks with hockey sticks, and I didn't bring the hockey sticks over, so they've got hockey sticks from somewhere. And so there is hockey somewhere. I've seen pictures of people, of guys playing like you guys on rollerblades in sort of any sort of open space like a square, and they're playing roller hockey together. I didn't bring these guys together. I didn't give them hockey sticks. They've got their own hockey sticks and they've organized it themselves. I've not even managed to be able to contact some of these people yet. So there is hockey happening, even without us, even without sort of Hockey Algeria behind them. There is hockey going on. We do, of course, have a lot of sort of Algerians who are expatriates and live abroad, for example, in Canada, in Quebec, as I said, and France. And these guys will always come back for vacations in the summer to see their family. So what I'm guessing is they're bringing back hockey sticks, they're bringing back skates and things like that. And they're going back to the cities they live, and they're giving them to kids that live there. Because I can't imagine any other way they've got hockey sticks in Algeria other than if we've bought them for hockey, or someone's come on vacation and brought them along. So there is hockey in Algeria. There's the official stuff that we're doing through a hockey school, and there's also some other stuff going on who I guess are just groups of people who have come together and managed to get their hands on equipment and are playing amongst themselves, who I hope to bring in with us at some point.
Okay. So if guys like Coach WRC want to support youth activities or even just general hockey activities, what would you say is the best way that they can be able to support you guys?
In terms of non-Algerians who want to help hockey in Algeria, we accept equipment donations. Could be old, new, it doesn't matter. As much equipment as we can get in Algeria would be good. There's only so much I can bring. The government has said they'll fund kids' equipment. There are sort of IHF stuff that bring equipment, but the more equipment we can get in Algeria, the better. So that's from kids at the very youngest age all the way to adults. In terms of coming and helping inside Algeria, we'd welcome anyone who wants to come to Algeria and sort of get on the ice with us and teach some of the kids. I'm sure Algerians would be very impressed if for example, a non-Algerian, a European American, someone who's not from Algeria would take the time to visit Algeria and take their own time to teach some of the young people there. We don't have too much tourism in Algeria. Infrastructure in terms of foreigners coming to Algeria, it's not the best. It's not like Morocco and Tunisia, which are very touristy countries, and there's a lot of cheap hotels and cheap flights. For Algeria, it's not as easy as that. But by all means, they can send us a message. For example, if I'm in Algeria at the time, or one of the other guys are in Algeria at the time, and by all means, they can come and visit Algeria while we're there and come on ice with us and do a coaching session with us. So anyone who wants to help Algerian hockey, we welcome any help we get. We're still very young and we'd like any help. Just send us a message. You can send us a message through here, through Instagram, Facebook, website hockeyalgeria.com. You can go in there. You can send a message through there. So contact us. We're happy to hear from anyone. Happy to grow the sport with help of others. Obviously, there's not a budget at the moment in terms of paying coaches to come over, and we do have some experienced guys who do coach. Guys like I said, Haroun Latim, who's the captain. He's played in the French leagues for 20 plus years, so he's a coach in France as well. So we have some experienced guys, but we welcome input from all around the world. So just send us a message if you'd like to help Algerian hockey.
Okay. So next question on the lineup is from Ali Kilanga. So Ali, he is one of the Kenyan players. Also, he helps lead with the youth activities. And his question is, how was the experience of Algeria playing in the Arab Cup in 2008?
Hello, Ali. So 2008, it was our first tournament. So 2008 was basically where the journey started for us. We just started. I found enough players, so it would have been me, Haroun, another guy who's been there from the start, Nazim. Haroun and Nazim are from France. They're French Algerian guys. So we just worked together to build a team up, and we had sort of no support at all. We were using our own money. We paid for our own jerseys, our own uniforms completely, and we organised a sort of a camp in London in UK. We played a few recreational teams in London. We all stayed in one house. So a friend of mine had a house, an empty house, and the whole team just packed into this one house. We went shopping together, food grocery shopping. We ate together, so we spent a few days in London. We trained together for a little bit, and then we took a flight over to UAE. And I mean, it was just a sort of a step in the unknown. It was all brand new for us. But you know, it was a great experience, and UAE, who have been, they've been a big support for us from the start. So they've really been sort of a helping hand from the start for us, and they've helped me a lot as well. And in terms of becoming members of IHF, UAE helped me with that. They helped me with the paperwork for that.
Nice.
And I think that's what you need in terms of being a new nation. Applying to IHF, you need someone who's a bit more established to help you with the paperwork and give you an idea of what to expect. And UAE have been really helpful for Algerian hockey, and I spend a decent bit of time in UAE, and they're really looking to progress the hockey in that region. I mean, obviously they have the money in the Gulf region. They have what we don't have, and that's lots of money to support their sport. But they do love the sport. They do it it's not just a money thing. They really love the sport in the way that we love sport in Algeria and Kenya. So they got a big passion for sport. So the Gulf countries, they're really trying to push forward with the sport, and they're a lot of help. I mean, they're always pretty open for giving out advice and things like that. So the 2008 Arab Cup, it was probably the start to where we are now, and it's probably the reason why we never gave up. It was such a positive experience to start with. It gave us that reason to never give up. So Haroun was there, and he's still here. I'm here still 10 plus years later. Nazim's still involved 10 plus years later. So it's that one thing that will stick with you, that one early experience, positive experience that really makes you want to continue. And I guess you guys have had the same in terms of you got invited to the Winter Olympics, you got to meet some NHL players, and that will stick with you it was so early on in Kenyan hockey that will stick with you in the back of your mind. So even 10 years down the line, you'll think of that first experience you had seeing the Winter Olympics, meeting top NHL players, and that's that thing that will keep you going and want you to play in a tournament the next year and the next year and the next year. So it was an important step, and it's something that stuck with me. I still have fond memories of that.
All right. So I've added a link on the comment section. You can check out Emirates hockey page. It's one of the pages that really stands out. I know this is not supposed to be an ad, but it's just one of the pages that stands out to me in terms of the followership and also the players as they are within countries that you would not really expect to have ice hockey.
Yeah, and they're doing big things in terms of their league is pretty big. I think in a couple of years there'll be a professional league, which is unheard of in a small hockey nation. They're pushing that far ahead in terms of, I think they're aiming at, for example, like a sort of a KHL type league. They're putting I've heard they're going to put a Georgian team into their league, which is Georgia is an IHF member. It's an Eastern European country, and I believe a team from the capital city of Georgia is about to join the Emirates Hockey League. So from what I can see, the path they're going down is they're trying to make. Places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they're very international. If you ever visit these places, it's not strictly an Arab place. You'll see people, a lot of Russians, Americans, Canadians. It's very international there. And I feel they're trying to put a sort of international league in there, similar to KHL, obviously at a much lower level. But they're doing big things. And I met with one of the heads of UAE in Kuwait just in February. There was a tournament out in Kuwait, and I met with the UAE guy, and they're doing quite a lot. They're aiming pretty high there. They've got a lot of women's hockey going on there, which is really impressing the IHF. That's what IHF want at the moment. They want women's hockey. They're so big on women's hockey now. So they expect you to have a women's hockey team. They expect you to have junior development. Nowadays, it seems, apart from the top division of the World Championship, what the IHF expect from you is junior development, and they expect from you female hockey. They love these two things. And if you can do these two things, you'll get all the support from them. So UAE, they're big on female hockey at the moment. Kuwait, they're big on female hockey at the moment. They're big on their junior development at the moment. And they seem to be going in the direction of trying to make an actual professional league. And they're doing good things. I mean, it's impressive to watch. Like I said, they have the money that we don't have. But it's impressive to see how they're trying to grow and plan for quite far ahead in the future and not just for now. The head of UAE, I think, is on one of the Asian committee for the IHF. So he's got quite good standing within the IHF. But it's really impressive. So definitely, in terms of the international hockey community, if they want to take a look at a country that's doing a lot for hockey and like building their hockey at quite a fast pace, UAE is a country to look at. Kuwait is another one as well. I visited the brand new rink in February that they just opened for a tournament, and it's a quite a nice rink. It's a pretty good rink, and the hockey there was at a pretty good level. I can compare it to sort of a lower European league sort of level of hockey. They play quite a good level there. Of course, they have a lot of foreigners as well. So when you see the UAE league and the Kuwait league, they're full of foreigners. So you got a few of their homegrown players, and then you'll get a lot of Eastern Europeans. They got the Russians, the Czechs, Serbians, Slovakians. It's full of Eastern Europeans in the Gulf region. But it's impressive to see how they built it up. And they, of course, play in the lower divisions of the World Championships. So, I mean, apart from the money they have that we don't have, it's really a sort of it's impressive to watch them and see what they're doing and sort of get ideas on how we can follow in their footsteps.
All right. All right. So because of time, I'm going to have two last questions.
Okay.
So the first question, I'm actually going to merge a question by Al Saraj and F Beverage. So F Beverage's question is, have African hockey teams been impacted by the pandemic? Which is, yes, it has been an impact. We spoke about it earlier on. It's because he
Yeah.
says he doesn't know the state of the virus here.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
in Algeria, sport is shut down completely. So all sport is authorized by the sport ministry, and all sport is shut down in Algeria. Until the sport ministry say otherwise, all sport is shut down, including the football, the top leagues of football. And Algeria's on lockdown at the moment. So they have curfews in Algeria, and there's only certain times that people can go out, and it's quite difficult for Algeria at the moment. It's Ramadan, and it's going to be Eid in a few days, and people have been ordered to stay at home for Eid, which is a very unusual situation for Algeria. And I mean, having said that, the deaths aren't too bad in Algeria. I think we're probably one of the worst in Africa. At the moment, I think only Egypt is probably worse than us in terms of deaths and the virus in Africa. I think we're probably second after Egypt.
wow.
But compared to Europe and America, we're a lot less. We're a lot less. I think we're somewhere around 500 deaths in Algeria, which is still big, but nowhere near what they have in Europe, in Italy, Spain, and UK. The deaths are massive, in tens of thousands. So luckily, it's not affected Algeria too much. It is worrying because obviously Algeria's healthcare system isn't the best. Algeria realistically is a third world country. Like I guess we could say most of Africa is considered third world. So the healthcare systems aren't the best in Algeria. They're reasonable, but they're not the best. And luckily, we haven't got it too bad in Algeria. So the few people that were infected, I believe they were. I'm not sure exactly how it came to Algeria. I think it was probably from Europeans of Algerian origin who've come to visit family and passed it on. But we didn't get too bad in Algeria. So hopefully within the next couple of months, it'll die down a little bit more. And then within a few months, hopefully there's a vaccine and things can start getting back to usual. But yeah, it's impacted hockey massively, probably more than the other sports because we're still very new and we're still trying to gain some attention. Football, it could probably just jump straight back to the league and being massive again tomorrow if it started. But for hockey, yeah, it's a massive impact. So it's big, but realistically, I mean, sport comes second after people's health and well-being. So we just want everyone to be back better and normal again, and then we can concentrate on the hockey again.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about that, and I'm hoping that your family, everybody is safe right now.
Yeah, thank God everyone's okay. In my family, everyone's okay.
Okay. In regards to Kenya, the situation in Kenya is the rink has been closed. Initially, it was just a temporary closure, but according to government rules, no sport is going on, same as Algeria. Now that the rink is closed, we aren't playing, of course, and hence that's one of the core reasons why we are holding this. When every Wednesday session, we interact with people. We discuss about how hockey is growing within, let's say, the African teams. We'll also be having conversations with some of the players. It's really a great way also of connecting with you, the fans. We don't know like what questions you have. We don't have such a direct interaction, but with moments like this, you're able to ask us any questions. And also, it's a great opportunity for us to learn about guys like Hockey Algeria, their story, their journey, and also like how the growth is going. We've even heard about the teams in the Emirates, how the league over there is going on. These are some of the things that we don't really know much about. We hear about KHL, we hear about NHL, but it's a really great opportunity interacting this way.
Exactly.
So for the last question, I'm going to take from Al Saraj, which is Karim, when will we see Algeria in the Arab Cups again?
Well, I guess we have to wait and see when the next Arab Cup will be. I'm assuming he means the club competition, which just took place in February. Luckily, just took place for the Corona outbreak in Kuwait, and it was a great tournament. It was a very good tournament. It was a very high level, and I believe Saraj was the one playing on the Bahrain team. So it was a great tournament, and hopefully once everything's back to normal, the organisers are saying they want to do the tournament every 2 years, which gives us a good time for everything to get back to normal. So hopefully 2022, if we have an Arab Club Cup in 2022, I'll definitely put a team forward for that one. I regret not bringing a team to the one this year. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens with Corona, but I'd say probably the organisers, I expect them to organise something in 2022, and we would send a team for that. If there's a Arab Nations Cup, then we'd also like to put a team forward for that. If there's an African Nations Cup or African Club Cup, we'd like to put a team through for that. We'll just have to see, really. It's hard to say right now, but I'm open to hearing any ideas for future tournaments. And yeah, big up Saraj. He was playing for the Bahrain team. I know exactly who it is now. Yeah, definitely. I'm just really keen on bringing Algerian hockey up, bringing Arab hockey up, bringing African hockey up. I'm really passionate about it, and personally, it interests me more than the NHL. It interests me more than European leagues. I like to see new developing nations playing hockey. I even look at, say, the South Americans playing hockey, and I find that really interesting, seeing, like Brazil and teams like this playing hockey. And for me, it's a lot more interesting. The African nations, the Arab nations, the South American nations, and the developing nations coming up. The Asian nations. Actually, I was in Malaysia in December, and I got a chance to meet the president of Malaysia. The Malaysian hockey, and I went to see their new national rink there. They've got an amazing national rink there, so good, and they're doing big things in Malaysia as well in terms of bringing their hockey up. So there's a lot of developing nations. I mean, you've got Thailand, Philippines, Singapore, all these Asian nations are coming up as well. I mean, before this whole Corona stuff, it was really a big time for sort of developing nations to start playing hockey. And I'm really interested to see how these developing nations do come up and bounce back after the Corona, and how IHF support these nations coming up. I know they support Asia a lot. So the IHF they back Asia a lot. They're putting a lot of money into Asian hockey at the moment, it makes sense for the IHF because the populations in China are massive. To get hockey popular in, say, China, like, that's how you win. And you got the Winter Olympics coming up in Beijing in a couple of years. You have a KHL team in China now. I think they play in Shanghai at the moment. They're doing. Asia is just massive for hockey right now in terms of the IHF sending them equipment, organising tournaments, coaching clinics, referee clinics, and they're really trying to bring up Asia at the moment. And after spending time with, like the Gulf countries and Malaysia
Um,
and countries like this, I really